I am Abigail Spangler, and I am one of the Protest Easy Gun protesters, which today include UVA student Rhonda Samaha, whose sister Rima was murdered in the Virginia Tech shootings, and Andy Goddard, whose son Colin was shot 4 times and severely injured. We are all part of a protest movement that emerged in response to the April 16th Virginia Tech shootings, the deadliest shooting rampage in American history. We are citizens who are outraged at how easy it is to obtain a gun in the United States and believe it is time to act against lax U.S. gun laws. We are stepping forward to try to protect our police and all Americans from criminals and dangerous individuals who have easy access to guns because of our lax gun laws. 3 days after the Virginia Tech shootings, heartbroken and grief-stricken, I emailed my friends and asked them to lie down beside me in front of City Hall in Alexandria, Virginia, to represent the 32 victims of the Virginia Tech shootings. Within hours, my friends responded overwhelmingly. On Sunday, April 22nd, 32 of us, representing the 32 victims at Virginia Tech, laid down for 3 minutes the amount of time it took the shooter to buy his gun, and the amount of time it takes to buy a gun in the United States. Today we wear black with handmade Virginia Tech colored remembrance ribbons around our necks to commemorate the 32 Virginia Tech victims and the 32 Americans murdered by guns every day in the United States. Most of us have never protested before in our lives. Our conscience propels us forward. We all agree that it's time to put common sense into our gun laws. Let's talk about what happened in America just this week alone. This week, a 14-year-old kid in Cleveland, Ohio, high school, took 2 revolvers into his school and went on a shooting rampage of students and teachers. This week, a 15-year-old Crown Heights, Brooklyn kid stuck his head out of the window and was shot by gunfire in the streets of Brooklyn, where gunfire often occurs. High school kids had a lie-in just like we're having today in Crown Heights a few months ago. These kids were in a recent school assembly and were asked whether they had a friend or a family member murdered by a gun, and almost the entire auditorium put up their hands. This week, the National Law Enforcement Memorial Fund reported that there has been a 54% increase in the number of police officers who have been shot and killed from last year. This week, a Pennsylvania teenager accused of plotting a school attack had a mother who had bought him a .22 caliber handgun, a 9mm semi-automatic rifle, and a .22 caliber rifle with a laser scope from a gun show. Let's talk about gun shows. Currently, a loophole at gun shows allows unlicensed private dealers to sell guns to people without conducting a background check. There are approximately 4,000 gun shows every year across the United States, and 40% of sales at these shows are by unlicensed sellers who are not required to perform background checks. Although 17 states have taken action to close this loophole, 33 states, the states in red, including Virginia, have not closed this gun show loophole. We aim to close this gun show loophole in Virginia this year. We are not against hunters, guns for private protection, or gun collectors. We are against people hunters. The Miami police chief this week talked about an increasing hunter mentality among criminals. He says there has been a huge increase of the numbers of AK-47s on the streets. The International Association of Chiefs of Police wants a new ban on assault weapons and a ban on high-caliber sniper rifles and armor-piercing handgun ammunition. The police are demanding more action from policymakers to keep them safe. In America, it's like we've thrown open the candy jar of guns to criminals and dangerous individuals and said, take what you want. This is not healthy for the future of our country. Every year, 30,000 Americans die from guns. That means every 2 years, more Americans are killed by guns than were killed in the Vietnam War. This is simply unacceptable. 80% of the American people believe in stricter gun laws, such as better background checks and licensing and registration of guns. But our voice is not being heard. We aim to make our voice heard. This protest movement is spreading as women and men in community after community lie down in protest, passing the baton from one to another. The UVA-32 is our 30th protest in 12 states. This UVA protest is our first college lie-in protest, along with Carleton College today in Minnesota. And most of you in this group are founding members of our new 1-week-old Protest Easy Guns Facebook group. You will continue to be the leaders because each and every one of you, just as Dylan has done today by organizing this protest, can make a difference. Over 900 Americans have now laid down in protests across America. We are like a drumbeat, repeating this protest again and again and again. This time, we will not move on from this tragedy. The more often we repeat this protest across America, the louder this drumbeat becomes. We want this drumbeat of protest to become deafening, make the American people's collective voice heard loud and clear. We want our lax gun laws changed. Our goal is to encourage like-minded citizens to stage their own protests around the country so that we can influence the public discourse and ultimately the legislative process with regard to this critical national problem. We are a social movement fueled by outrage, not money. Passion, pure and simple, is what drives us. Do you think that the American colonialists rolled over when the British taxed them unfairly? No! They fought back by throwing tea into the Boston Harbor. Do you think that all Americans accepted slavery? No! The abolitionists fought back. Do you think women thought it was okay not to vote? No! The suffragettes fought back. Do you think African Americans thought it was okay not to have equal rights? No! The civil rights activists fought back. Do you think Americans today think it is okay for criminals and dangerous individuals to have easy access to guns which threaten the rest of us law-abiding citizens? No. Today we lie down in protest. Like other Americans before us, today we protest to secure a better future for our children, our police, and all Americans.